An opinion or estimate of value of real property as of a certain date, as supported by objective evidence and data. Appraisal. The three approaches to value are 1. Market data approach, also called comparative approach. 2. Cost approach, also called summation. And 3. Cap rate, also called income approach. Appraisal methods. Someone licensed by the state who, for a fee, is expected to perform valuation services competently and in a manner that is independent, impartial, and objective. Appraiser. An increase in the value of property due to a positive improvement in the area or the elimination of negative factors. Appreciation. Something that belongs to property and passes with property, but need not be attached to it. Examples given: outbuildings, easements. An appurtenance runs with the land. Appurtenance. A body of permeable rock that can contain or transmit groundwater. Aquifer. A method for resolving disputes out of court whereby an impartial third party renders a binding decision. This is the method by which disputes between realtor brokers may be resolved. Arbitration. A variance that permits an owner to build a structure that does not strictly comply with the zoning law setback requirements, height limits, or other rules affecting the size or placement of buildings. Area variance. A transaction that occurred under typical conditions in the marketplace, with each of the parties acting in their own best interests. Arm's length transaction. Owing payment on things for which one has the use of, but has not yet paid for, such as property taxes that are paid in arrears, or the state being in arrears with a debt obligation, also called accrued expenses. Arrears. Fibrous material derived from a naturally occurring group of minerals commonly used in insulation. Asbestos fibers released into the air are carcinogenic. Asbestos. The price the seller asked for the property when it was first put on the market, also called listing price. Asking price. The combining of two or more parcels of land into one larger parcel, usually to increase the usefulness of the land. Assemblage. The valuation of real property that is used as a basis for calculating the amount of real estate tax to be levied. Also, the levy or rate to be paid to the government for services provided or constructed by it. Examples given: curbs, sewers, sidewalks. Sometimes referred to as special assessment. Assessment. The county official who determines the value of property for property tax purposes. Assessor. Property or other useful thing regarded as having value. Asset. The act of transferring one's rights. Assign. The person who receives rights under an assignment. Assignee. 1. The transfer of one's personal interest under a contract to another. 2. The transfer of a tenant's right of possession or other interest in leased property to another person for the remainder of the lease term. In both cases, assignment does not release the assignor from the obligations stated in the contract. Assignment. The person who transfers rights under an assignment. Assignor. An animal that has been trained to perform tasks that assist people with disabilities, also called a service animal. Assistive Animal. A licensee who has qualified as a real estate broker but works for a designated broker. Associate Broker. A financing arrangement in which the outstanding loan amount can be transferred to someone else. Assumable Loan. The obligation and promise to be personally liable for conditions in a contract. Assumption. And an agreement by a buyer to assume the liability under an existing note secured by a mortgage. Assumption of mortgage. Court-ordered seizure of a defendant's property to satisfy a judgment. In the case of real property, attachment creates a lien. Attachment. An item of personal property that has been attached to or closely associated with real property in such a way that it is now legally part of the real property, also called fixture. Attachment, man-made. Things growing on land, such as trees or shrubs, also called implements or fractus naturalis. Attachment, natural. To affirm to be true. Attest. An individual licensed to practice law for the public. Attorney at law. A person specifically designed in an instrument, example given, power of attorney, to do something legally for another in his or her stead. An attorney in fact has a fiduciary relationship with the principal. An attorney in fact may not need to be an attorney at law. Attorney in fact. A listing agreement, a contract of employment between the seller, the principal, and the broker the agent. Authorization to sell. An injunction that automatically stops lawsuits, foreclosures, garnishments, and all collection activity against the debtor the moment a bankruptcy petition is filed. Automatic stay. The erosion or tearing away of land through natural causes, such as flooding, which may remove soil or cave in the banks of a river. Avulsion. The relationship of a borrower's total monthly debt obligations, including housing and long-term debts with 10 or more payments remaining, to income expressed as a percentage. Total debt divided by income equals ratio percentage. Also called debt to income ratio, debt service ratio, or debt ratio. Back-end ratio. A possibility when a home seller has accepted an offer from a buyer but is still accepting offers from other buyers in the event the original offer falls through. Backup offer. A debt that cannot be recovered. Bad debt. A deceptive sales technique that involves advertising to a customer with a particular product or rate to attract them, then persuading them to accept less favorable terms so that the loan originator can earn a higher fee. Most states have consumer protection laws that make this tactic illegal. Bait and switch. A lump sum payment that is due at the end of a note term because the note used paid only part of the principal and or interest, also called partially amortized mortgage. Balloon payment.